What is up, everybody? My name is Bobby. I do music, and today we are checking out the Fryette Deliverance module for the Synergy system. This is the first module I ever got when I got into the Synergy system about 4 years ago. This alongside the original SLO module. I figured I wanted something that had a lot of versatility with gain lower than the SLO. I wanted something that did more cleans and crunches, and this has a wide range of versatility. I've lived with this module for as I said, 4 years now, and it's one I keep coming back to. It does have a character to it for sure, which I don't think is a bad thing. I hope an amp has a character. It sounds like an amp. It doesn't sound like a cardboard box or something. So we're gonna check it out. I don't know much about the actual amp. I've seen videos of it and demos. It's kind of on my bucket list of actual heads to get one of these days when I start getting into amp heads, but I don't have a ton of space for that right now, nor budget, but that's a someday maybe thing. Start getting into more heads. So that's why I got into the Synergy system. So we've got the Deliverance here. Going over the controls really quick, we've got bright switches on each channel, gain 1 and gain 2, and I'll kind of go over how those interact with each other. More and less switches, which is exactly what that sounds like for more or less gain. And then we have a shared in-order treble middle bass. I have to remember that because I can't quite see it from where I'm at, but treble middle bass, not bass middle treble. And then below that we've got this presence and depth circuit, which is kind of interesting because normally that's a power amp feature, but this is still in the preamp, so it gives you a couple extra controls. And there's a switch where you can either take it out entirely, you can have it on for both channels, or in the red mode it's only on for the red channel, the top channel. So we'll go through this thing. Today we are playing through my Yamaha Revstar with the P90s. It's a fun little guitar. I thought I'd change it up a little bit. Very mid-forward P90s. Let's go back to the other channel. That's where we're going to start anyway. So, got the P90s through a bypassed pedal board. We'll turn on some stuff later for reasons. And I've got a little bit of delay and reverb in the post effects, just for some flavor, so it's not completely bone dry. So I'm going to start us on the bottom channel. Let's get the EQs mixed, or rather zeroed out. And there we go. Very active EQ, you'll see that. So the way the manual describes it is that gain 1 is sort of the voicing of the overdrive, sort of how thin or thick it is, how chewy it gets, and the gain 2 is more overall gain, kind of taking that more or less. I tend to find in the less mode, both of them are more or less overdrive. Pardon me, but gain 1 definitely thickens things up as you bring it up. So we're going to start with gain 2 at noon, and you can kind of hear it get thicker as I bring gain 1 up. And more drive, too. Kind of clanky. Bring it up some more. Bit thicker. There we go. Tune because we care. So yeah, it gets thicker as you turn it up, and of course you bring gain 2 up, and it's just more of that. Roll gain 1 back. Thins out, lose some gain. The bright switch is one of my favorite bright switches in the Synergy system. Just more definition, more punch. Let's take it back out and I'll show you how clean this thing actually can get, like usably clean, if you roll gain 2 back and kind of rely on gain 1 for the thickness. Like that is clean. Let me bring gain up a little bit. Gain 1 up. can take it to a jazz gig. Bring in the jazz switch, the bright switch. Very touch dynamic, very volume knob dynamic too. Let's get a little bit more. Roll the volume off. To be fair, I'm cheating a little bit. This guitar has a treble bleed in it, so it doesn't lose a ton of top end when you roll the volume off. But it doesn't sound choked when you do that to this module with any guitar that I've experienced with anyway. Let's hit the more switch, see where that takes us. Now we're in kind of rock high gain territory, and I'll bring the gain 2 up a bit. And I think gain 1 is a little bit more obvious as far as its thickening or thinning out sort of thing in the more mode. So now we're, gain 2 up, gain 1 down, the voicing knob down. As I roll up, we're going to get more gain, but it's going to thicken up. Nice and thick and juicy for lead tones, or you can roll it back and thin it out for sort of a rhythm tone. Really quick, before we touch on the EQ, I do want to point out there is a slight difference in the voicing between the bottom and the top channel. From what I remember, and I haven't plugged this in about a week and done this comparison in about a year, the red channel is going to be just a little bit more hyped in the top end and a little bit scooped in kind of the mids, maybe lower mids if I remember right. Let's find out. So I've got bright switches up, gains set, both in the more, and then they share the EQ, so that's not going to change. Let's get the volumes matched, though. Yeah, we're losing some mids. That kind of 1K, 2K thing. But they're pretty comparable either way. So let's talk about the EQ. I'm going to keep us in the red channel here. So I love the EQ on this thing. It doesn't take much to get like a great sound out of it. I tend to like those kind of rhythmy sounds a little bit more clanky. So what I'll typically do on this is push the treble a little bit, push the mids a little bit less, and then I'll kind of leave the bass at noon. Kind of like a super modded plexi thing. If we want it a little bit thicker. But let's do what I usually do and take you through each of the EQ controls. So let me throw that back so it's less mushy. So let's roll the treble back. Loses a lot of that clank. Boosted. You will never be lacking for treble in this module. Sweet! Yeah, I tend to like it about 2 o'clock. Suck the mids out. Not a pleasant sound, but a sound. Push the mids. Super mids. I like it balanced like that. Let's mess with the bass all the way, well, not all the way down, but mostly down. Plenty of control over the low end. Now let's talk about the presence and depth controls. So if you don't know, on an amplifier, on an actual like head, the presence and depth are in the power amp section. So they're after all the other EQs. They're kind of the last thing sort of that the sound travels through before it heads out the speaker and all that stuff. So by default, they are additive only. So presence and depth all the way down is neutral, and then you add more presence or add more depth. Let's add more presence. And presence is the word I would use to describe that. It's not really air. It's definitely like punching your ear a little bit more. Cool thing is I can take it out. That will cut through any mix. Let's get it all the way up just to see what that does. All the fizz, but that's okay. We have options. Let's bring the depth in. Take them both out. So just both of them help just liven the module up a little bit more, which I really appreciate. It gives you a lot of control over the bottom and the top, and then the mids is just crazy powerful. I'm actually going to leave that on for both channels. The drive has, a lot of people describe the Fryette sound as a dry drive sound. It's almost raspy. I did a video recently on the new SLO2 module, and that is the opposite thing, where it's like really thick and mushy, and you can get this kind of in that territory if you wind gain 2, or rather gain 1 up. But it's still got this raspy thing up in the top that I kind of like. It definitely doesn't hide your mistakes. Like, it's very unforgiving, and I understand the Pitbull Ultra Lead module is even more like that. I don't have that module at this time. Maybe I will someday. So one other thing I want to point out is this thing takes pedals incredibly well. Of all sorts. You can hit it with an overdrive, like I'll hit it with the JHS Bonsai. It's a TS-808, a tube screamer. But what I really love about it is that even at these sort of higher gain settings, this thing eats up fuzz pedals like you wouldn't believe. I've got well, let's see, I've got 2 to pick from right now on the board. I've got the JHS Muffaletta, which is 6 big muffs in one, or I've got the op-amp big muff from Electro Harmonics. Let's do them both. So I've got the Muffaletta set up in the Pi mode, which is I think it's the original. But yeah, this thing eats up fuzzes, and it retains the character of the fuzz. It doesn't soak it up too much. A lot of amps, if you get them into that sort of crunchier, higher gain sort of thing, like this isn't like modern, like, but it's getting there. They tend to kind of soak up fuzzes in the low end, and kind of the fuzz itself loses its character and it just kind of turns into this woolly mess. But this keeps it intact. I love that. Let's do the op-amp, which is an unruly fuzz. Get the tone back a little bit. And I will say, let me roll the volume back just a touch too, because it is starting to eat it. And if you do hear on the neck pickup there, when it gets like really dark, it does start to eat that. You can just roll the gain 1 back a little bit. Roll the tone up just a little bit there. Loves pedals, man. This is one of my favorite modules. It's super versatile with the 2 gains. The EQ and the presence and depth is super powerful. The gain staging and the bright switches just makes it that much more versatile. I am not sponsored, but I could be. Anyway, that's been the Deliverance. Thank you guys so much for checking it out with me. I appreciate it. Leave a like and a comment if you want to see more, or let me know what you thought. And tell me my hair is doing weird things, because it is, and I have no idea why, but that's okay. It's just doing it. I hate when it does this, though, when it lays down. Anyway, I will see you guys and gals in the next video. Bye. Yeah.